There were no supervisors or Bureau of Prisons officials punished for these alleged oversights because no one ever gets in trouble. If you work for the government, man, you could get the president shot in the head. Not even a big deal. You just get a temporary suspension because you work for the Secret Service. She told officials she left the area to use the restroom. Yeah, no, she's gonna leave right now in an adjoining area. And when she returned, Epstein was gone.
If he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out. We said we don't want him, at the place.
A new investigation reveals new discrepancies in the Jeffrey Epstein video footage that was purportedly all original, raw footage that was just assembled and released to the public. Not any funny business going on, but the internet got their hands on it and identified a bunch of problems, and CBS did the same. And in this report, we've got footage, we've got 3D renderings, we've got all sorts of good stuff. Follow the yellow dotted line. We got interesting oval blurbs trying to identify what the heck is going on with this orange fellow creature moving through the area. And so we'll go through it and we'll have some other updates on this case because Gouveia just got moved over to minimum security prison where they have a nice spa. So we'll go through it. We'll get some updates because there was another court filing there in the Gouveia Maxwell case. But here is the latest from CBS saying new discrepancies in this jail video footage, saying in the weeks after Epstein died in Lower Manhattan, then Attorney General Bill Barr said his, quote, personal review of the surveillance footage clearly showed that no one entered the area where Epstein was housed, leading him to agree with the conclusion that the medical examiner that Epstein had died by suicide. Now, it's a claim that's been repeated by a bunch of other people, including Dan Bongino, who said, well, there's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and he's the only person coming out. And if that's accurate, we'd like to see that because we still have not seen any video clear as day. And Dan said that. The video we see, as we're going to see, is terrible. And it looks like it's not even real in terms of being raw, right? It is manipulated, as we'll find out. But a CBS News analysis of the video the FBI made public earlier this month reveals that the recording doesn't provide a clear view of the entrance to Epstein's cell block, as we noticed, one of the several contradictions between their descriptions of the video and the video itself. Now, CBS News also digitally reconstructed the special housing unit, the SHU, where Epstein was held, using diagrams and descriptions from the 2023 report on the Epstein case released by the Justice Department Inspector General, and says here the CBS News review found the video does little to provide any evidence to support the claims that were made by anybody. Additionally, CBS News has identified multiple inconsistencies between that report that we just looked at and the video that raises questions and about the accuracy of witness statements and the thoroughness of the government's investigation, which obviously was not thorough at all. The review doesn't refute the conclusion that Epstein died by suicide, but it does raise questions about the credibility of this, which are drawing conclusions from the video that you can't see. Clear as day. It's not clear. We can't see his cell at all, actually. So the Epstein jail video says the silent surveillance video, which runs for nearly 11 hours, provides a narrow window into Epstein's world during his last hours on Earth. Staffers on duty that night in the Metro Correctional Center carry blankets, fill out paperwork, and occasionally do other things, appear to doze off. The grainy pixelated footage shows two doors, a nondescript blue trash can, and a stair landing. Beyond the banister, a third of the frame is filled with a bright fluorescent lit open area. A staircase is visible on the left, and in the back, a dark blurry patch marks the correctional officer's desk. To the right of the desk is the faint outline of part of the staircase leading up to Epstein's cell. Over here, faint outline of a staircase, that's going up to Epstein. Not Epstein's cell here. This is not Epstein's cell here. We just see some people kind of going back and forth, and that's supposedly clear as day. Now, several cameras in the SHU were functioning, but they were unmonitored, the report said, and the government has stated that a failure of the digital recording system resulted in loss of most of the footage from that night of August 9th and 10th that would have provided a fuller view. And it's just wild how technology just fails like at the most inopportune times. It's like the same thing with that pipe bomber, man. How come we can't find that pipe bomber? Oh, yeah, because the Verizon cell records were corrupted. Oh, well, how about AT&T? Did they have anything? Oh no, theirs was corrupted too. Then you go and you ask them, hey, AT&T and Verizon, was your data corrupted? They say no. We're in the data business. Nothing's corrupted. The FBI just didn't really look at it. So it is just a cover up and, somebody deleted the footage, clearly. Now, the video that was released begins at 7:40, 9 minutes later. Did this happen at other nights? Was there other random nights throughout the year where they just lost the night of footage? That video that was released begins at 7:40 p.m. 9 minutes later, according to the report, Epstein appears for the first and last time on camera. Now, he emerges from the left side of the screen and walks down a stairwell that was accompanied by a corrections officer. Employees told investigators that Epstein had just finished an unmonitored call, which was another bizarre thing. Who did he call? Why was he he allowed to make an unmonitored call where every other prisoner is monitored, unless he's talking to his lawyer, later reported to have been with his girlfriend in Belarus. Right. Unmonitored call with your girlfriend. The video rolls almost uninterrupted for the next 11 hours. At 6:30 a.m., corrections officers can be seen rushing across the frame. The Justice Department later disclosed that's when Epstein's body was discovered. Now, over the course of the night, the staff on duty failed to conduct the required 30-minute check-ins on Epstein while he spent the night alone in his cell. Prisoner officials had already determined that he was a suicide risk, allegedly tried to kill himself weeks earlier in mid-July, and because of this, under prison protocol, he was assigned a roommate. But that roommate had been transferred earlier in the day, and the prison staff had not assigned him a new one. Two staff members called Tova Noel and Michael Thomas were ultimately charged with falsifying records, but those charges were later dropped because you definitely don't want them to defend themselves and have this case go to a trial where there's discovery and more evidence and all the things. There were no supervisors or Bureau of Prisons officials punished for these alleged oversights because no one ever gets in trouble. You work for the government? Man, you could get the president shot in the head. Not even a big deal. You just get a temporary suspension because you work for the Secret Service. There were no supervisors who were ever punished for these alleged oversights that preceded the deaths of the highest profile prisoner, perhaps ever, in the entire federal prison system. Dead. Last month, the FBI announced the Epstein case was closed, based partly on video evidence, and reiterated that Epstein killed himself as he awaited trial on the charges. Now, here are other inconsistencies in this monster report. The FBI claimed to us, anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the shoe common area would have been captured by the footage, okay? So it's like, this is a choke point, right? You can see anybody who's coming this way, and so Epstein was let out, then the other dudes came rushing in, and so you can see everything, right? So we would have seen if somebody popped in that way. Now, the video, cross-referenced with diagrams of the Epstein holding area, does not appear to support that finding at all. That becomes obvious in the first 10 minutes of the video. Epstein's cell was in the L block, accessible via a staircase from the special housing unit common area. When Epstein appears on camera, he is seen walking towards the stairs leading to his cell, but since the staircase is almost entirely out of view from the camera, he is never seen ascending the stairs. The entrance to Epstein's cell, as well as the primary entrance to the shoe, are off camera in the same direction, meaning there's no way to tell from the video if he went to his cell or if he exited the shoe. Huh, interesting. So here you see, it looks like they've got Epstein's cell highlighted here. We're going to see the yellow dotted line walking us in there. Now, it looks like the camera's probably right up in here, right? Based on the video that we saw, looking this direction. So maybe you can't see if he comes out this way, right? Because he just walks right around this. The camera can't see him because it's got this angle. While brief movement is occasionally visible on the stairs when someone is walking up the left side, the area remains mostly obscured throughout the recording, making it impossible to determine if someone may have entered the shoe through the primary entrance and accessed the staircase without ever being captured on the recording. Just like that right there, because the footage may have just gone this way and kind of been cut off at that location, right? This angle here that we saw is blocked by that wall. We can't see what's going on past that wall to the right. Oh, bummer. Man, that's like a perfect blind spot for a camera. You can just sneak someone out. This appears to directly contradict the FBI and the Inspector General's assertion and allows for the possibility of unrecorded movement between those areas. Without visual evidence, the case relies on the word of staff members, on these two liars, Noel and Thomas, that no one entered because you can't see it. At one point, the Justice Department noted both of them appeared to have fallen asleep, although Noel denies this. So Jim Stafford, now a video forensics expert, reviewed the footage and the Inspector General's report and told CBS News to say that there's no way that someone could get to the stair up to his room without being seen is false. Four other leading video forensics experts also concurred. Now, experts question the interpretation of this orange shape that is moving up the stairs. And so just to be clear, those stairs would be these stairs. And you can kind of see it looks like maybe the set of bars right here. So somebody's kind of walking up those stairs and you can see it kind of right there, cut off by the corner. And they tell us just before 10:40 p.m., an orange shape is seen moving up the stairs. Don't say it's a Trump thing. Moving up the stairs leading to Epstein's tier. The report says through review and analysis of the shoe video footage, witness statements, and Bureau of Prison records, the Office of the Inspector General determined that at approximately 10:40 p.m., a corrections officer, believed to be Noel, carried linen or inmate clothing up to the L tier, which was the last time that any CO even approached the entrance to the shoe tier in which Epstein was housed. Now, video forensic experts who reviewed that footage at the request of CBS News were skeptical about that interpretation and said, well, the shape could be a person dressed in an orange prison jumpsuit climbing up the stairs, right? What is it? What is the orange outfit? Do prison guards wear orange, or do prisoners wear orange? Oh, so that person looks like starts climbing up the stairs. Now, Connor McCourt, a retired NYPD deputy sergeant and forensic expert told CBS News, based on the limited video, it's more likely it's a person in an orange uniform, whoever that might be. Now, a cursor and a menu appear on screen, and the video is sped up as well, which we noted when we first watched it. The Justice Department said the FBI seized the prison's digital recorder system, or the DVR, containing raw footage 5 days after Epstein's death, and then put most of it in the shredder. When federal officials released the jail video, they told us, because they think we're idiots, that it was raw footage. Then we saw the cursor and the click bar up there, so you can fast forward. This part's boring, fast forward or remove it. And they also had the camera jump, because one video, the first half, seems like it was a little bit smaller in the frame, then it kind of zoomed in a little bit. Like some basic editor just smashed it together after they were screen recording it. But the presence of a cursor and on-screen menu raised questions about that. Experts told CBS News those images indicate the video was likely a screen recording rather than an export directly from the DVR system. And, the plausible explanation for that is that it's a 20-year-old system. It's really hard to convert those video files and export anything off of it, and so they just did it for simplicity. But if they did that, they could have told us that, not said it was the raw footage, because everybody could see it. Several forensic experts CBS News spoke with, including Jim Safford of some other company and this guy from that other company, said that they had not viewed surveillance footage in this format. They said it was unlikely to have been an export of the raw footage, and that instead it appears to be two separate video segments that were stitched together. Stafford, who looked at the video using specialized software to extract the underlying coding known as metadata, said the metadata showed the file was first created on May 23rd of this year. So that means it's probably a screen capture, not an actual export, man. In addition, the analyst said a shift in the frame aspect ratio, which we noted, that is the ratio of the width to its height, indicated there were two clips. It wasn't a continuous run because it changed size. Government sources familiar with this said the actual raw video is in possession of the FBI, but that's not what the department released. Also, a report by Wired had previously alleged nearly 3 minutes of footage appeared to be missing based on the metadata. CBS News and their analysis also found that because the video was running at a slightly higher speed and with 1 minute missing when the clock jumped ahead at midnight, the video was not actually 11 hours. It was actually only 10 hours and 52 minutes in length as opposed to the full 11 hours. Now, the missing minute was also the thing that we all noted immediately because we saw that click over here, right there, boom. And you can see even the aspect ratio on the video change. It gets a little fatter, like that door just puts on 10 pounds. Watch right there. Here you go. It happens in your videos. Just had a double-double, 3 double-doubles, a triple, whatever. So you get the point. So someone's been, changing the videos and manipulating it. And now the idea is that the video was actually only 10 hours and 52 minutes in length, meaning it only recorded 10 hours and 52 minutes, or that the video length was 10 hours and 52 minutes in total. But they said during this minute, an unnamed staffer with the title materials handler on duty from 4 p.m. to midnight would have finished his shift and is assumed to have left the unit during that 1 minute, like 12 o'clock. Like a lot happens then. Your shift's over. You're leaving. Like there's probably movement going on, right? They cut that out. While there is nothing to suggest this action has any relevance to the events of that evening, the missing stretch of time does raise questions about the value of the video to conclusively determine what occurred, which it obviously does not. There is no mention of a missing minute in the Inspector General's report because they didn't catch it or care. A government source familiar with the investigation or even look at it tells CBS News that Pam Bondi was incorrect in her statement that the security team had a nightly reset resulting in a lost minute every night. Like, we'll just get a better system. There was a minute that was off that counter, and what we learned from the Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night they redo that video, Bondi said, which I don't even know what that means. Bondi was just kind of rambling off, trying to get through the question, noting the system was old. Every night is reset, so every night should have that same missing minute. So we're looking for that video as well to show it's missing every night. But a high-level government source familiar with the investigation told CBS News that the FBI and the Bureau of Prisons and the DOJ Inspector General are in possession of full, unedited copies of the videos, and those copies do not have a missing minute. Why Bondi said that the video resets is not clear, because they actually have actual footage that doesn't do that. In a statement, Bureau of Prisons said, we can confirm Attorney General Bondi's statement. So there's a conflict now between the government and other sources. Now, at 12:05:48 a.m., an unidentified individual passes through the shoe. Who could this person be? I don't know. It's Hillary, maybe. The Inspector General's report says only 2 staff members entered the unit after midnight. The official report, right? It's a corrections officer identified only as CO3, and the other is described as the Morning Watch Operations Lieutenant. Now, the presence of a third identified individual seen on the video is not addressed by the Inspector General's report. Why not? In one instance, the Inspector General's report appears to conflate the actions of Tova Noel with another female staff member. Now, the report says Noel stayed stated she left Epstein alone in the shower area where he had made his unmonitored phone call. So she, walks him over there. Here, call your exfiltration team. Tell them, yeah, we're ready. Tonight's the night. We're all sitting here. She told officials she left the area to use the restroom. Yeah, no, she's going to leave right now in an adjoining area. And when she returned, Epstein was gone. Appeared to have already been escorted to his cell by someone else, or escorted out the back door to a helicopter. But the video shows what appears to be Noelle remaining in the unit and personally escorting Epstein to the staircase leading to the cell. So she was lying to the inspector. But there is another female staffer present who is seen on camera exiting the unit just before Epstein is escorted, and she returns shortly thereafterward. Now, this discrepancy occurs during a crucial time period. CBS says Epstein had been allowed to make an unmonitored call from a showered area using a phone line intended only for attorney communications. According to the report, this was facilitated by the unit manager, who was the senior officer in charge. Epstein allegedly said he wanted to call his mama, even though his mom died in 2003. The unit manager dialed a 646 number, New York City area code. A man answered, and he handed the phone to Epstein. The unit manager then left the area, but later called and asked Noelle to retrieve the phone. The Bureau of Prisons director later told investigators that the unmonitored call was extremely concerning, stated, "We don't know what happened on that phone. It could have potentially led to the incident of Epstein's death, but we will never know," said the Bureau of Prisons regional director. Yeah, we won't. Multiple staff members are seen entering the Epstein unit, while Noelle and Thomas remain visible in the common area. Now, in assessing the video, the report says Justice Department officials have said no one could have entered his tier without being seen because the staircase was visible on the tape, and access to the shoe was only possible by passing through two locked doors, which are both, of course, off camera. One door is remotely operated, and one requires a physical key, which Noelle told investigators only she and Thomas possessed. However, the video shows several individuals entering and exiting, while Thomas and Noelle are nowhere near the door, or not present at all, contradicting her statement. As a result, there's no way to know from the video if it indeed was possible for someone to enter the unit and climb the stairs without being seen. We continue. Were there other cameras recording? There were. Here's a field view of the recording of the 9th floor elevator bay camera. You see Epstein's cell was right here in the footage, and it looks like this is highlighted. This is the DOJ's OIG's schematic drawing depicting the shoe at the Bureau of Prisons, saying, in addition to cameras that failed to record other angles of the common area, the Inspector General's report states that there were 2 additional camera recording events in the vicinity of Epstein's unit. Cut the cameras. One covering an elevator bank used to transport inmates or escapees, and another focused on a nearby guard desk who you have to walk by. Neither of those videos has been released, but a screen grab from one was included in a report. While federal officials have dismissed those recordings as unhelpful in documenting what occurred, experts told CBS News those videos could add value, clearly. They could, for instance, help determine whether the DVR system did in fact reset nightly and consistently lose 1 minute. Did the other videos lose a minute? Bondi said that. Or it could contradict her claim, and we could say, why did she say that? CBS News has reached out to the Justice Department, Bureau of Prisons, and FBI to discuss this video. They declined to comment. Justice Department referred us back over to them. Now, a spokesperson for the Inspector General emailed the following, says, the OIG appreciates the careful review of our report. Our comprehensive assessment of the circumstances of the weeks, days, hours before Epstein's death included the effects of long-standing chronic staffing crisis, that's all it was, in the prisons and their failure to provide and maintain quality cameras. Nothing has changed in our recommendations or analysis since our report. Now, CBS News has also sought interviews with Tova Noelle and Michael Thomas directly and through their lawyers. They have not responded, but have previously denied any involvement in anything related to Epstein. Robert Hood, this person who's a former Bureau of Prisons chief of internal affairs, said he's reviewed the Inspector General's report, and in an email he said, in my opinion, the summary investigative reports don't provide adequate details concerning Epstein's death. The new director should provide internal investigative reports concerning his death and related historical data at the jail. Mark Epstein, Epstein's younger brother, has long voiced his belief that his brother did not die by suicide but was murdered. He spoke with CBS News and said, without a recording of the camera where he was housed, it's unclear if the door to his brother's cell had been properly locked or if other prisoners could have had access and that orange blob could have come in there and taken him out. That tier housed as many as 14 inmates, and only 3 voluntarily spoke to investigators, according to the report. Only 1 has been identified publicly by name. So, very interesting report. And here's another little topographical view on what you can see. And yeah, man, it looks like the camera is right in this angle, right here, kind of looking this direction. Stairs go down. This is Epstein's cell, and the camera is blocked by this wall right here. You just can't really see past it. So could somebody have walked this direction, up this side of the stairs, gone into Epstein's cell, walked back out, and avoided this entire angle of the camera this entire time? Walked out this way, gotten in the elevators, gone out the 9th floor south. Very curious indeed. So what's happening now, we know Todd Blanche went and met with Ghislaine Maxwell, and now Ghislaine Maxwell going to a minimum security woman's prison. It's gonna be nice. Get some pedicures with some other criminal ladies there. The longtime Epstein associate, now serving a 20-year sentence, was relocated from a federal prison in Florida. Now she's going to minimum, which is lower than her current status. Now she's currently, let's see, Ghislaine has been moved from a federal prison to a minimum security prison camp in Texas, from Florida to Texas. The move was reported by the New York Sun, came about a week after she met with Todd Blanche. So of course the obvious question is this the beginning of a deal? Was Maxwell promised this? Did her attorney say, you know what would really make our negotiations a lot easier? Getting out of this crap minimum security. We want to go to even lower security. Maxwell's lawyer declined to comment, but according to the Bureau of Prisons, inmates designated as sex offenders are generally supposed to be held in low security prisons, which is where she was, like in Tallahassee. But now she's going to minimum, so from low to minimum. Now what happened is Blanche, of course, met with Maxwell and Marcus last Tuesday. Lots of people wondering what was going on. Before entering the government service, several top aides thought that there were secrets lurking, and Marcus has said during questioning and interviews that she answered questions about 100 people. It remains unclear whether those are victims or whether those are other co-conspirators or what. And Virginia Gouveia family has come out and they're very unhappy about this. They say, along with the Epstein victims, they say, what the heck's going on? You're going to move her to a minimum security prison now? She's going to just go be able to skip around with other friends? Maxwell's lawyer confirmed, yeah, she was moved from Tallahassee and now things are going to be nice over there. Let's see what she's going to get into. The British socialite disgraced is now in the same prison as the Theranos scammer, Elizabeth Holmes, and the former Real Housewife of Salt Lake City, Jen Shah. Well, that's great. They should start a podcast together and talk about it. Probably be good. Maxwell's new home mostly holds white-collar criminals and only female inmates. She will now be able to purchase beauty and leisure items from the commissary, makeup and crochet and sewing kits. That's nice. I mean, you just don't do anything. You just wake up. You got no responsibilities. You just, I'm going to go crochet something today and go hang out with Elizabeth Holmes. Prison consultant Justin Paperny told the Daily Mail he had never seen anyone convicted of a sex offense go to minimum security, not somebody on 20 years. Tallahassee is rated low security. She was in a low security prison already, and that looks like prisons on TVs or in the movies. You're fenced in, there's razor wire. Women serving typically 10 years or longer, more violent crimes like sexual offenses and more. Now, a camp where she's going is different, and when you go to a place like Bryan, you feel like Disneyland. She will feel incredibly free, says this consultant who knows. There is a very low staff to prisoner ratio. In camps like Bryan, no fences or barbed wire. Says you can literally walk off and no one will stop you. What? It's a cushy country club and looks like a corporate office park or a junior college, added Paperny, who runs white collar advice, who advises future inmates on what to expect. Like this is his profession, right? Like you're going in, you hire these consultants and he tells you, okay, you got to go in. Here's how to best survive and we'll work with you through it. Now he called the move from Florida to Texas a massive upgrade and says, yeah, it's probably a benefit from the meeting with Todd. After that meeting last week, she's been rewarded with a transfer to one that's also closer to some family in Texas. He said, I've never seen this before. Bryan, there's a softball field, a track for running. Wow, that sounds great. Maxwell's a keen runner, and even there's a pickleball court. Wow, so you can play that goofy sport. Paperny said she could study horticulture, parenting, adult education. She could become a teacher. Wow, it sounds beautiful. So visitation is more relaxed, and she can have visitors on the weekends. It is very much a place where you can roam and move around the whole compound and just go back to the dorm to sleep for a head count. Wow, that sounds really kind of relaxing. Sounds like a little vacation. Dozens of women in the facility have illegal mobile phones, and Maxwell is likely going to get one too. So she'll even be on the internet scrolling around on X, maybe watching the show. What's up, Ghislaine? Even without such a device, she will get 300 minutes a month of calls on the prison phone lines. And well, here's what you can buy. Oh, look at this little L'Oreal Revita. Ooh, oil Olay. Ah. So that sounds nice. You can get some body wash, all these things, air freshener, crochet kits, yarn, cosmetics. Man, they have like an Ulta there. It's like an Ulta and a Walgreens all combined into one, and a post office. That's pretty neat. I wonder if there's like a Costco kind of built in here. Yeah, maybe. Playing cards, nasal spray, multivitamins. Got to get your vitamins in prison. Acne cream in case that pops up on you. Stool softeners, gas relief. Probably good for a lot of the inmates in there, especially Elizabeth Holmes. Spencer Coven, a lawyer who represented several Epstein victims, gave an ominous warning about this. He says, if it's this wide open, hopefully the cameras work. He said, remember what happened to Epstein when they moved him from high protective custody to lower level security? He hanged himself. Yeah, right. An official report found that despite attempting suicide, his cellmate was moved out in the breach. It says Maxwell's lawyer declined to reveal the reason for the move, but it was obviously after the conversation. The transfer was handled by the Federal Bureau of Prisons, which was unusual as transfers are usually led by the marshals, but she's special. The Farmer sisters were both abused by Epstein and Gouveia, as was Gouveia, who committed suicide in April. Her families died by suicide. That's the proper term, okay? Her family members, Sky and Amanda Roberts, and Lynette and others also signed the harshly worded statement about the transfer. And so they're unhappy about it, obviously. I mean, it's wild what's going on because they'll simultaneously tell us, like, there's nothing there, okay? Epstein is just such a waste. And then you're like, why are these people getting such special treatment? Why did Epstein get a non-prosecution agreement that immunized everyone he's ever known, basically, until it didn't? And why is Ghislaine, getting all of these privileges? It must implicate somebody. Otherwise, why are they treated this way? Marcus, her lawyer, said that they're going to invoke her Fifth Amendment rights. Now, she, of course, has been subpoenaed by the House committee, and now it is not happening. And we predicted this, obviously. It's like Maxwell said, I'll come talk to you, but I need immunity so that I can testify without the prospect of facing new charges. And then so Comer responded and said, absolutely not. We're not going to grant you immunity. And I go, well, what's the point of the subpoena then? You're just going to bring her in here and she's going to invoke the Fifth Amendment? You look like an idiot and waste everybody's time. So he's like, okay, now we'll postpone it. So I think if they want info, they got to give her immunity. It's just that simple. Now, House Republicans agreed Friday to postpone the August 11th deposition because she's obviously not going to testify if she doesn't get immunity. Said Comer denied requests from Maxwell's lawyer to provide immunity in exchange for her testimony, but agreed to push the interview back while the Supreme Court considers her appeal. She was moved to Bryan, Texas, Club Fed, where she's going to be crocheting, and her lawyers are still keeping a surprise, but that August 11th deposition is not going to be happening, so that's going to be postponed. Do we have a new date? Doesn't look like it. So postponed indefinitely, because if she is not granted immunity, why would she ever talk? Now, we also had more. In the motion to unseal the grand jury transcripts, Judge Paul Engelmeyer came out. This is in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, being prosecuted out of the Southern District of New York. It's actually over now. She's been convicted. She's in prison, but this is on appeal. And now the filing to unseal the grand jury records came in. And we've had a little back and forth on this. The original filing came in from the DOJ. Judge said, that's a nice filing. I need a lot more info. We read through the supplement, essentially, going through the various indicia for why it's possible to get grand jury records, even though the rules are pretty clear unequivocally. You can't release that stuff except for very good reasons. So then the Trump DOJ responded, provided an update. This is the judge responding to that. All right. Saying the government's application to unseal the grand jury transcripts in this case is pending before this court. And the government's July 29th submission just days ago, although it does not squarely state it, he's like, it's pretty good what you sent, that the government is seeking as well to unseal the exhibits put before the grand jury, which we called out on that. We're like, what does this mean? Grand jury records. Does that mean the transcripts? Does that mean the exhibits? Does that mean all of the pleadings and the filings that came around with that? What's in there? So the judge is saying the same. Are you seeking to unseal the exhibits as well? As proposed by the government, the items disclosed would be redacted so as not to disclose victim-related or other PII, personally identifying info. The government has furnished the court with transcripts and exhibits indicating as to each the portions that the government proposes to redact if the motion to unseal is granted. And so, to assist this court in its review of whether we are going to unseal these records or not, the court directs the government, Trump's DOJ, by Monday, August 4th, so soon, to provide the court with a letter on my desk by Monday, stating whether the government moves to unseal the grand jury exhibits as well as the transcripts or just the transcripts. Yeah, and we wanted to know about that. I'm glad the judge is asking. What do you want? Identifying with specificity the grand jury exhibits as redacted for proposed release that are not already a part of the public record. And so in making this assessment, the government should take into account whether the unredacted portions of these exhibits were received in evidence during trial in this case, meaning they're already a part of the more public record, otherwise disclosed on the docket or disclosed in the course of civil litigation. So like what portion has already been released and what portion is still secretive in the grand jury files. Identifying with specificity, writes the judge, the information testified to in the grand jury transcripts as redacted for proposed release that is not already part of the public record, taking into account the sources above, saying you can publicly file this in redacted form, your letter responding to this order. So even more clarity. Okay, what specifically is the government requesting? And we would like to know the answer to that too. But the president was asked about this at an event and was asked to follow up to his comment about Virginia Gouveia being stolen. Here's what the president had to say.
In response to some of the comments that you made this week, you said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out. We said we don't want him, at the place. This is a story that's been known for many years, as you know. I didn't like it that he was doing that.
But that's all they want to talk about now is Epstein. Of course, it's a big case, and we want to get to the bottom of it. We hope the investigation is thorough and comprehensive, and we'll keep our eye on it. But we also saw on yesterday's show that Susan Rice was out screeching, Epstein, because she wants to distract from the Obama coup. And so we know that we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. We'll keep our eye on both cases. Thank you for subscribing and joining as we do.